Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, to round 10 of the IFL 3 Series, Season 2. We are at the Circuit of Americas for the American Grand Prix, and things are really starting to hot up now as we have just started our 25-minute qualifying session. With great pleasure, we're going to bring you another exciting race off of the back of this season is just getting crazier and crazier the more we add to this, isn't it, Alex?
Oh yeah, it is getting exciting. We have some great drivers this season, and as you can see, we're into our qualifying session to start here. About a minute 30 in, these guys are getting their warm up laps, but we saw some craziness last week. Some of the wrecks that we weren't expecting. What did we have? Four safety cars last week in Watkins Glen, which I don't think we've ever had in the IFL before, but it made for a really close, really shuffled pack, and it just each week it's getting crazier and crazier.
Yeah, they were quite spread out, weren't they? We had some at the beginning and a couple towards the end, and that, didn't we? It's just some of the incidents were just too big to avoid. As we get this session underway already, we've seen some pretty incredible pace. We've got a couple of new drivers on the grid tonight to mention. We've got Breivik in, he's originally put his team down as Team Fast Boys. There are supposed to be two drivers hailing from Norway. I'm not sure if I've seen the other one join the session yet. And we have got a Brandon Walker replacing a not appearing status, Kokoro Yanis. He is no longer with us in the IFL, unfortunately. So replacing him tonight is Brandon Walker. He is usually for another team, but has opted to join the US squad. And I think, as far as new drivers, Katie Hike seems to be sporting a new livery. Not sure if that means new constructors team as well, but her car looks significantly different from last week's.
Yeah, it's a different design, still kind of along that futuristic-y look, but as you can see now it has the Vector instead of the RSR on there, so she definitely has a little bit of a change, but we'll see if team name changes at all. She runs essentially all by herself, and she is actually our leader in the championship points as of right now.
Yeah, just as of last race, wasn't it? I'm going to say, I'm not going to say luck, because to get through a race like that and come out on top, she had one crash, but everybody else seemed to have at least one or more crashes. And then when it's a race like that, just a tough race, as we see exactly that person that we're on board with now setting big purple sectors. But obviously, these cars are known for their horrendous cold tyres, aren't they? It's 2 or 3 laps of just absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Well, you have to wait horribly for the tyres to just come up to temperature. But so whatever times we'll see now, we're going to see these times be obliterated before long.
Yep. Yeah, we're going to see some times coming in here. We have Caitlin Height is our first time as a 157.9. Not a bad time compared to what we've been seeing in practice. We see Stell Plug back here. He is coming across the line. Ooh, he might have gotten a little bit of an off track there.
So currently, the only person with a set time is Caitlin Natalie White's purple. So we're looking at, qualifying low pace. I'm going to take a stab in the dark, but the session, how it's looking at the moment, temperature on track. Oh, as you see a little spinner there. Good to get out of the way of that. Is that Matt Steltberg, isn't it?
Yep. Yeah, it looked like that might have been his teammate, Matt Turner, there with him. And that turn one is going to be a little crazy. You have that big elevation change. It's going to be tough for some of these guys, because you want to, as soon as you're straightened out, you're used to, on a level field, hitting the gas and just getting on it and getting going, and you can't do that. You have that little bit of a time where you feel stable, and then all of a sudden it's just gone. So you got to be careful getting on there.
It's a trouble, this. So you the way that you would approach this track, it's got many high speed fast corners. So you want a little bit more air in the tires, and you want a bit of stiffer anti-roll. You would like the car to be stiffer. It's a very flat track surface as well for these cars, unlike some of the other rougher surfaces that we see, patches of concrete and bumps and things like that. So as far as the track surface is concerned, it's a very flat surface, but it's got those odd one or two really tight corners, which is just however which way you set the car up to be fast everywhere else around the lap, it's going to be a bit tippy-toey around those slow corners. And in turn one particularly, you've got a little crest just at the end of the braking zone, a dip in the middle of the corner, and then a little crest just on the acceleration zone as well. So depending on how the car's set up and just how stiff you've chosen to make it, depends on how sensitive it will be over those two bumps. But and that's it. We see this exact same thing by a few of the F2 drivers out yesterday. Even we saw our leader Steve Grabowski go off with exactly that. It's just lap after lap after lap after lap of killer consistency, and then you get bitten out by that one bump on the exit of turn one. We saw it happen to a few drivers, didn't we? We saw Jason Siemens go off there.
Yep.
We saw at least 3 or 4 cars spin. Louis Cologne span. Their car goes all light on the exit, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a hard one to control, as we see Alex Gutnick coming up in the second, Rob Slider sticking it there in third. Caitlin Height has improved her time by about 0.4 of a second, up in first. Ooh, you can see both of them. See, both of them went round. Eric Beddoes catches it, whereas Brandon Walker did not.
If you've overshot the corner, and you're now on a line that is going to induce a spin like that, and the guy behind you is just sitting there trying to follow your line, and you then make that mistake, he then is going to make the exact same mistake. It takes a lot of skill to not follow someone into a mistake that they've made so close to you like that. But yeah, we're still gonna. I reckon as a stab in the dark, the pole time I think will probably be close to a second or so faster than what we're looking at now. I reckon it'll be a 56.5 or 6. But yeah, hats off to our new guy Breivik. He's right up there already, and we know we've got some really fast drivers, and they're all in the right place right now. But still, we've got quite a few of these guys yet to set any laps. So and this track is absolute killer for track limits. We know this, isn't it? It's just terrible. You get a good lap down, you get near the end of the sector, one little snip over the curb, and it's gone. We've been in this session for nearly 9 minutes now, and half the field hasn't got a lap time down yet.
Yep, yeah, it's a very technical track, and the biggest thing is they're very slight off tracks that will throw you off, that you don't want to hit, but sometimes you carry just tiny bit too much out of a corner, or try and cut a corner just the littlest bit to make sure that you're hitting your line, and you just overdo it. And
yeah, we've just seen Caitlin improve again with a 57 flat, so she is advancing. We've got a purple sector there from Breivik, but yeah, it's yeah, we will see that in the race as well. Obviously, we have our 16 incident point limit before you start getting drive-throughs, and we definitely had some drive-throughs yesterday's race, didn't we?
Yep, yeah, that was our highest drive-through count. I think we had at least 6 drive-through penalties, hitting that 16x. Plenty of drivers on the field. I think we had 16, so 6 out of the 10 or 6 out of the 16, so 6 and 10 dividing it up, and it was a rough race for those F2 drivers, keeping it on the track. And let's take a look at our track conditions while we watch Breivik continue his lap.
And that's the division above as well, isn't it? So that's the F2 drivers. They are more experienced, and a lot of those guys have been in the field for a long time, and still getting caught out by that incident limit and serving some heat in the old. I mean, if you get a drive through, that's absolutely crazy, especially in the F3 car.
Yeah,
it's
correct.
It's something you really don't need. So we may see some late in the race position changes as you get towards the end of that race, and you're just 14, 15, 6, bang. This is it. We saw a lot of drive-throughs happen towards the end of the race.
Yep. Yeah, we saw a lot of it start hitting towards the end of the race, where we had the drivers just starting to lose those tires tiny bit by tiny bit. Not as big of a concern in the F3s, but you start having to take a tiny bit different line when your tires are starting to wear, and you just can't keep taking the same line over and over and over again, expecting the race car to stay in that same exact spot. You have to adjust it. You have, from when you get on the track to when you get off the track, there's adjustments being made the whole time. with these drivers, and the F3 not so much. Their tires are very resilient, so they can last a lot of laps. But we have our mandatory one. The big weakness for them is the cold tires coming out after a pit stop, and the full fuel. Those are the big things that affect these cars.
Yep, and if it's hard to wear these tires out with the distance they do, but you can certainly cook them. That's for sure. And obviously, if you have the tires quite soft in pressure, they're going to heat up nice and quick, and they're going to come into the optimal range quite quick. But they're also going to be quite easy to kill and push over the other side, especially through all these long corners. It's just relentless, it's lap after lap after lap after lap of just those killer long corners, and you're just gonna really the temperature just goes up a little bit each lap, and eventually you will spin. That will be the comeuppance there. But we don't see any changes. We see Caitlin again. She's improved on her lap time in the 56, somewhere close to where I predicted pole would be, 56.6. It's a clear 7/10 ahead of our newcomer Breivik, and Rob Slater there sitting in provisional third place. He finished P2 last week, his best result in the IFL 3. So when you've had a fantastic result like that, you definitely want to you want to go into the next weekend, and even if you can't emulate that, you want to have a good strong result. Keep that feel good and the momentum, isn't it? This is how you do it.
Yep. Yeah. You start stringing a little bit together. A top 10, then you get into the top 5s, and then you get into a podium, and then eventually, you just keep that momentum going, that good feeling going, and you'll end up coming out with a win eventually.
On a hot one, Breivik on a hot one, purples and greens. This is looking pretty good.
Let's catch up with him.
Last couple of corners now as we come around, really committed this corner here, and you just want to be careful of the track limits there. I'm not sure if you caught it there, and then also here you want to get Turner improves up to P3, knocks his Cuda Evo counterpart down, as we see can Breivik he's improved definitely a couple tenths, but still Caitlin only person in the 56s there, and well in the 56s as well. So these guys have got a lot of catching up to do. Breivik will be that'll be a 57.2, won't it? So he's close to breaking into the 56s, but looking like she's pretty unchallenged for the pole here on this one, unless someone can pull something miraculous out the bag. But Matt Turner's moved up to P3 there, only 8 cents off the lead. Rob Slater still in, he's moved down just to P4, but still 1.2 seconds off the lead. Walker's finally managed to get a lap time in with a 2:01, still a bit of ground to cover. Big spread tonight as well, haven't we? We've got quite a bit of a gap between the original pole and the back of the field, 4 or 5 seconds as we see it opening right up there. So.
Yep, and we're 15 minutes in, and we still have 3 drivers that still don't have a lap time in. That's going to be it's going to be big news, honestly. Well, only 2 now. Eric Beddoes sets his first time, but if it's taken 15 minutes for these guys to get a clean lap, then they're going to be struggling throughout the race. The distance that's going to be set, just every single lap. If you have Steve Bunting doing 2:01s and Caitlin Height doing 1:56s, I mean that's 5-second difference per lap. They're going to be lapped very quick, but this course is unforgiving. It is very technical, and
it's interesting that Breivik. I'm just making a note now. I'm just trying to spot out some things to look for during the race. Obviously, these cars will have qualifying and race setups, but Breivik's been consistently purple in the second sector. Now, the second sector is from the end of turn 3 all the way through that wiggly S section, and then it cuts off just before we hit the hairpin. So basically downforce.
Mm-hmm.
So he may be running a little bit more wing than Caitlin, who is absolutely sending it out the back straight there in sector 3. As we see Alex Gutnick there set a purple first sector and 2 green sectors, so he is on a stag lap.
He is
sit on board with this guy. He's going some as he tries to improve on his P5. So
he just ran out of gas, if I had to guess.
Damn.
These guys jump into their qualifying, and they want to get an extra lap in, and They know it's going to be close, but it looks like he probably ran out of gas there.
And for the people that are watching that don't drive these F3 cars, they are really difficult to keep the rhythm and the momentum in a qualifying session. When you are qualifying and you're not trying to keep that race rhythm, and you're just pushing for that out and out, you know, a couple of tenths quicker than what you did last time,
Ooh.
a couple of tenths quicker than what you did last, squeezing it, and you're just trying to pinch little bits here and there to improve. As you see Jackson Carr spin off there right at the end of a lap there. Not sure if he was finishing one or ending one there, but yeah, when you're squeezing it every little margin like that, when you run out of fuel or you damage or spin or something like that, and especially with a car like this, as we see Stelzflug smacking a 57.8. Good lap times there coming in, as we see a lot of these drivers again finding this rhythm. If you have to come into the pits for whatever reason and you start that tyre cycle again, it immediately breaks your rhythm, and it breaks the car's ability to be able to sit on that rhythm, and you just have to wait for 2 or 3 laps and push back up to the speed you were to then go past it. It's quite a frustrating thing to experience. You can't just go back out there and carry on where you left off. The more times that happens to you during a qualifying session, 25 minutes can very quickly seem like 5. And
Yep.
it's all over before you know it.
Yep, yeah, you go out, you waste a little bit of time, slide off the track, damage. Okay, restart, go waste a little bit of time, getting your tires up to temp, okay, accidentally touch the wall, go back in. And we saw some of the F2 guys doing that, you know, just trying, pushing, and just push a little too hard.
Yeah, it's just, isn't it? It's just, I mean, the F2 guys experience cold tires in a whole other way, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
But these guys, I would say, are the real sufferers. They don't have a lot of downforce, and they do rely, I'd say 70% on mechanical grip and probably 30% on aero. They have a good amount of aero, but on a track like this, you wouldn't want to ramp it. You know, you will be high downforce, but still, it's an F3 car. It's not supposed to generate huge amounts of downforce. It's just supposed to teach you about downforce driving. So your tires, when they're cold, your car's just an icy thing on an icy tundra, icy ice. It's horrible.
And let's ride on board here with Gutnick.
Yeah, see if we can get an onboard for somebody that's going really quick here. Understeers, yeah, I'll take us on a lap. So there's your little crest there, and it's super important as well, because that's where you want to get the power down for what is essentially a curved straight line. Nice and clean. You do not want to hit that for that one, massive time to Western Games. We see him pushing that absolutely limits there. This is beautiful driving. Nice and fast on that double line. And again, you can take a lot more speed through this one than when you first will see. And then you want to get on the cutback here and get on the cut early. Again, don't hit that curve. Take it down nicely as we go to one of the slowest corners. As you see the inside of the circuit open up here for in the race, that would be incredibly inviting to anyone sat just behind. Some nasty angles here as we go back out into the straight. That is, again, it can be quite deceiving. It goes up again about 2 or 3 times. It just makes it not straightforward. You lose the visibility and things like that. You can't just sight up in this vehicle until you're almost there. 3 kilometres longest and hardest about 75 minutes. Get the apex, and again, back on the acceleration, nice and early. The floor's nice and flat, it's nice and stable, and then here we get into the real time killer. Kill the speed here, you need to drop it all and accelerate, keep it nice and tight to the right, be careful of those track limits, keep the braking zone nice and tight, get that cut back and get on the power nice and early, don't let the exit curve rumble you too much, because the speed will hurt so much as we take one of the most enjoyable corners on the calendar, this triple apex here, keeping it nice and tight. Any exit that you use here is just time lost. A very committed corner there and an easy track limit to go over. Yes, very tight there as great. So as we go down to our last corner here, another yellow corner, so good exit there. What can we do here?
Gutnick looking fairly okay, but let's see if he improves on his time with that lap.
That was definitely a nice clean lap there. But what seems clean and what seems fast, it's just the commitment, isn't it? You can just gain time on this track just having big balls into the long corners, can't you? If you just be brave, you just get the car flicking between what feels like it's too fast through that sector 2 where Breivik's quick. Yeah, I feel like maybe that is what he's doing. He's just got a bit more bravery going through those corners and those direction changes there. As we see Hype Purple with a same time she sat, so not being able to improve there. A couple tenths off my prediction, but close, very close. And Breivik only 1.5 tenths behind now. So if there's somebody that's going to bring it to Katie today in the race, it's definitely going to be Breivik, with our third place guy sat currently 8 tenths behind the lead. But anything can happen in turn one. We know this. It's ever so inviting, this track, isn't it? It gives you so many opportunities to try and overtake.
Yeah, you can see how wide this straightaway is here, going up the hill. Really wide. You could probably fit about 5-6 cars if you really wanted to. And we
as we see a spinner winner there. It's just it's gone, disappeared. Houdini.
But we saw it yesterday in the F2 race. There was I think we went about 4 wide in that race in turn 1, if not 5 wide. There's a lot of action going on, and it becomes a little bit of a traffic jam. So, like you said, anything can happen. You know, you could get bumped.
Be prepared. Whoa! We just see a driver go up on the S's there. As you've got to be ready to go off the end of turn 1 in the name of safety. There's a few. I mean, really, to be honest, that can last all the way to the hairpin at the end of sector 2. All of those corners there. I mean, if you get pushed a little wide, or a driver comes up the inside and nudges you a little bit to the side, and it's looking like you're going to hit one of those yellow curbs, which you absolutely certainly do not want to do, because if you don't spin, you will break the floor of the car.
Yeah, you'll break the floor, or we saw yesterday the wing. The front wing will get damage on it, because those wings are right in front of those wheels. If you hit it with the wing, it's going to hit your wing, hit your wheel, might bend an axle, might bend a control arm. It just... You know, it's super, not going to be good.
They're super high, aren't they? And they're sat so low in the cockpit, these cars. I feel like if it was real, it'd probably be a bit of pain in your backside if you hit one of those at the speed you're going through these corners. But it really upsets the car. You've got about a 10% chance of catching it if you can preempt the fact that you're going to hit it and do something about it before you've hit it. But yeah, like I said, in the event of a mad lap 1 and somebody pushes you into that curb, it just makes more sense to go the other side of it, lose the position, or maybe 2 or 3, because you're going to lose 2 seconds a lap with that broken floor, if not spin off and smash back into the traffic, etc. There's lots of runoff all the way through that first sector, isn't there, to try and keep safe. So we'll see if these F3 guys take to that tarmac to try and stay safe, or whether they all try to keep it on inside the racing line. Hopefully they can all have a clean race today. We had absolute nightmares in the last race and the race before that, didn't we? Lots and lots of safety cars in the last 2 races.
Yep. Yeah. Let's hope that we can keep it yellow and keep it going. The hardest thing at this track is, just keeping yourself going, and keeping yourself not hitting a lot of these curbs. Because as soon as you upset the car, like you said before, you upset the car, and then you can be sliding off the track, sliding back onto the track, especially in the S section, and then you're driving right into traffic. As we see, if you go straight through one of these corners, you're meeting up with traffic on the other end. So the yellows might be in store for us today, but there's also a lot of runoff on the rest of the track. So we can hope that we don't have any yellows and we have a nice clean race. And one thing that I just noticed as well, Lewis, we don't seem to have our second place drivers championship fighter with us today. Cristiano Schegemann is not in the lineup.
That will be a big shame. That is the second race now that Cristiano hasn't turned up to. So he will be that's tough.
And we like to see our racers come out each and every week and put up a fight, and it really hurts your points when the competition is potentially gaining a 25-point gap on you, in a race weekend, 26 or 27 even, if you get the safety. It
hurts my soul, Alex.
You get the safety and the fast lap too. Yeah, it's a shame. It does hurt to see some of these guys have to miss weeks. But real life stuff, real life commitments happen. That's part of the league, part of racing, is stuff comes up. So we look to see Cristiano Schegemann there next week, as Corey Schartzer, his teammate, goes a little bit wide. He might not get that lap counted.
David Trumbull definitely improving on his times. I think what he can do
We have Buddy Boggs coming across here in a moment.
Currently sat in last place, Trumbulley, so this is attempts to just get off the back of the grid there. Let's see what he can do.
As we watch Trumbulley.
Nope. Unable to improve there, I think. Oh no, that was we were following a different car. My apologies.
Yep, yeah, we were following Schartzer a little earlier.
Just short. A tenth and a half short of taking that last position there. So sterling effort from David Trumbulley there. It's a long race. And 16 drivers and many laps to prove what you've got. And race pace and qualifying pace are two very, very different things.
Yep, yeah, racecraft comes into play. How well can you drive around the other drivers? You know, there's going to be a lot of traffic here, especially turn 1, like we said. So,
Blue boy in the box there. Oh, I would
Jackson
say,
car.
sir, that was a little bit too fast through that last corner there.
Yep, yeah, he's trying to push it clearly and just pushes himself a little too far. And we are coming up to the 2 minutes past, so we will be closing down here in just a moment.
My arm would be hurting if I was still waving that flag as vigorously as that. It's waving. But as the flag waves, we have surely got a Caitlin Height on another incredible pole position there. Only 1.5 tenths in front of Breivik there, so expect a good fight come the race, and it's incredibly inviting that turn 1. Yep. Turner there, only in the end, Turner's only 3 tenths off that pole there, so I do think we've got a bit of a fight there. And and then an incredible gap. So 1 tenth, and then another 1.5 back for 3rd place, and then nearly 8 tenths to the next car. So that's expect a bit of a breakaway from these three, unless Stelpflug and Sliter and Gutneck and they can they made an obvious error on their qualifying lap and they can push through this. But we saw some clean laps from those guys. So yeah, this is it's another unexpected race, isn't it? It's going to be another page in the IFL book. This is going to be another great story. I do feel like we're going to see some penalties towards the end of the race, if not halfway through with these drivers. Remember, you can only get 16 penalties before you get a drive-through. You get 4 if you touch another car. You get 2 if you go off track, and you get 2 if you lose control, and 1 if you go off track. So there, it's very. If you go into turn 1, have a little tap on the inside. There's times 4. You go off the track, that's another 1, and you spin round. That's time. You're already up to 10, and you've got nearly 27 more laps to go, and you can only go off track now 4 times. Yep. So it's
so
hopefully.
Let's take a quick look at our standings right now for the Drivers' Championship. Pop this up here for you guys. We have 34 drivers that have driven in our championship so far, but we have at the top there Caitlin Height, as we said before, Cristiano Schegetman in 2nd, and Matt Turner in 3rd. Big gap from 2nd to 3rd, but then from 4th all the way down to 10th or so, everybody's within arm's reach. I mean, that's a 1 win and somebody not finishing to jump up to 4th. So it's not a huge gap, but it's something to fight for. Our top 3 in the league, they all win prizes, so everybody's going to be pushing for a little bit of fun coming forward, and a little bit of competition there.
I'm really excited. I'm going to say this now. I say this every single week. I am the most excited that I'll ever be all week. Is to just more excited than I am to watch the Formula 1. I think these guys have a crazy way. So when you're part of it, you're part of the admin, you're part of the organisation. As we see the points there, Caitlin just snipping Cristiano there. But unless failing Calamity today, she is going to take a big jump into the lead today, isn't she? Mm-hmm. Without Cristiano there to defend that point. And unless Matt, sat quite far behind, only 50 points, so it's got a long way to go. Matt needs to win this race, really, and Caitlin needs to crash to bring that fight more. I mean, there's 8 rounds to go after this one.
Yep, yeah, and the only way for Matt to really gain tons of ground on Caitlin, like you said, is for her to have a catastrophic race, and Matt to have a phenomenal race like he did in Canada. that just will boost him up, especially catching up to Cristiano Schegemann as well. Popping a 25-point, gain on Cristiano would be huge for Matt Turner. But let's look at our team standings now and see how these guys are sitting as a whole.
Yeah, and obviously you can see turning point there. Corey Scharzer and Cristiano Schegemann doing a lot better with the constructors there, because obviously, as you mentioned before, Caitlin Height running solo. The Lumos Academy guys with a strong performance there. We had some great points added to that from Michael Morbeto, which again we don't see quite a lot these days. So that has been a challenge for them to keep that title momentum going. So incredible 151 points from those guys spread across 4 drivers, I think. And then just behind that, Caitlin's solo effort, incredible 137 points on her own. Kuda Works F3 team with 121 points there. Both drivers really starting to gain sort of traction now. The 4 drivers at Turn 1 Racing, I feel like those guys could do a little better than they do if it was the same drivers returning each week. They could get used to the formula and used to the car a bit more, because they hand us the seats around. It might be 3 weeks before you drive again. So, and we've had a bit of a driver change around for the Kuda Evo F3 team. So let's see if those guys can continue their points charge tonight, as we come into the last minute of warm-ups now. So we've got very, very, very little time left for these drivers to continue trying their race setups, their pullaways, their pit entries and exits, before we jump in for a whole bunch of laps of this track. And that's it, Austin's over.
Yep, it's gonna go by really quickly here for these drivers, and like we said, the most anticipated turn 1 coming up all week. Everybody's preparing, doing their thing, getting practice in, getting quali pacing, getting race pacing, working with their team for strategy on fuel, on tires, on when is my teammate going to come in, when am I going to go in, and all of it can come down to turn 1. So it's going to happen here in less than 2 minutes for us. Warm up is over. These cars are resetting.
This is exciting. We're looking at the grid up now, aren't we? Just moments to go before we smack into round 10 of the IFL 3. These guys are going to be looking for a nice clean race tonight. Hopefully we don't have to have safety cars, but quite often with these guys we do have to have safety cars. So we're wishing these guys the best of luck, and we will do our best up in the booth to keep you in the know with everything that happens, as these guys try to wrestle the amazing track that is the Circuit of Americas. Just seeing the guys grid up there.
And here we go.
Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we are go for round 10. Great start there. Oh, Breivik got a bad start and he's getting swamped by 2 Kuda cars already. They're going 3-4 wide in the back. Breivik's trying to do what he can to not lose any more positions than that. I think he's managed to get one of them back as he slips back. Oh, we got a bit of contact in the back between Rob Slater and one of the Lumos cars. I think everyone stayed in a straight line though, incredibly, so there may be a little bit of wing damage and touchy-pushy there, as there's still 2 or 3 wide trying to go into this back sector here. They need to get in single file before one of them ends up backwards. As they do so, as we see Caitlin push on for the lead there from a hungry Matt Turner. Oh, we've got a big clam up the back. No, as we may see the safety car come out there. I wouldn't be surprised. Yep, that's it. We've seen the safety car come out, the first safety car. We've got quite a little bit of further away around this first lap than we usually see, but as we see, oh, Jackson car.
Yeah, a bunch of cars in the way.
Walker and Collins there that we see. As we probably see another couple of shots on that as we see, maybe try and catch some of the onboards. Cold tyres, don't forget, guys. As we see the onboard from Bradley. Oh! I'm really not sure if there was room on the inside there. I'd also like to see the onboard from Jackson Carr there, as Rory Collins, I think, was the passenger and all that. He may have been caught up. Was it Rory Collins at the inside, or was it Jackson Carr? I think it was a red car, but I think Rory Collins had Yeah, Jackson sticks it in the gap there.
Rory.
And Rory Collins, yeah, just trying to avoid it. I don't think he hit anything.
Nope, I think he's clean. I think he just
It
probably
was just a
tapped the brakes a
just
tiny
jump.
bit, and
Yeah.
coming around the corner like that, tapping that brake can, upset the back end just a tiny bit.
Yeah, I think so. The car looked straight then, didn't it? Yeah, I think it's responding well. So I think, yeah, like you said, it was just an evasive manoeuvre, a jump on the brakes too hard in the middle of a corner. Better that than smash. So we've got a couple of drivers with damage now. But we've got a safety car as these guys will try and peel up. Oh, the safety car has come out. And I think Caitlin, Matt, and Breivik have beaten the safety car. So yes, they're doing the right thing and they're waiting up as the safety car is going to go past them now. I think they were just a little bit eager round as we see them join the safety car into 2-3, which means the guys that haven't got any damage or that were unlucky enough to pick up any first lap calamity there will get an opportunity to hit and then rejoin the back of the grid there. Ooh. And make their way back through. But obviously this will be far too early for a fuel stop and a make it to the end of the race. You will have to most certainly pit again. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, that these guys are required by rule to pit at least once for tyres and fuel, as the restriction they will not get to the end of the race.
And as we see right here, we got Brandon Walker's view. You can't even really see what happens because Jackson Carr hits him dead on the side. It's just right in the middle of the apex. His front left wheel hits the right side of the pod, I guess you could call it, and he just loses it. I don't think he has too much damage. I think it was just enough to upset the car. Doesn't look like wing damage or any structural damage. Probably just some scrapes on the side there.
Yeah, it's all about whether it isn't it with these F3 cars and with their tyre model, you can have a little bit of a bang on the side and you're okay. It's whether it hit that wheel and makes your steering wonky, isn't it? And then you are losing, and you don't just lose time in the corners with it being crooked. You lose straight line speed as well because the car is obviously not straight anymore. But yes, that's our first safety car there. Unlucky break for those guys that were involved in that incident there. This is our feeder series, so F3 is the lowest of the divisions that we've got in the IFL. So this is exactly where you'd expect these mistakes to be made and experienced and learnt from. I feel like there was a genuine opportunity there for Carr and a gap to chase, but a very fast section where drivers are pretty much single file. I just mentioned that not less than 5 seconds before that about staying single file or you end up backwards, and then we see the single file break as an attempt for a maneuver, but you're doing such the line that you're doing, you're very committed to that line. It's got to be such an obvious overtake. If you're going to make one, you've got to absolutely completely categorically send it and block, make your intentions completely known. You can't just sneak it up the inside with a little bit of extra run because you'll just catch the guy out.
Yep.
And that was a quick entry, wasn't it, as well? As soon as he flicked it into the right, it was up the inside there. I'm not sure if there'll be a penalty from the stewards at that because it did look fairly race incident-y, but yeah, it's Austin, isn't it? Left, right means single file. So these guys are just neutralised now. Their tyres will go from cold to colder. Let's just run down the order there. We've got Hyatt in the lead from Matt Turner. Breivik has just lost one place there. Steltflug, so Breivik's in a coup de work sandwich there. Anthony Wallace there sat in 5th place. Schatzer in 6th. Marshall, great, in 7th again, doing well to keep out of the stowage, just keeping his race clean. Gutenecht has lost a couple of places and slipped down to 8th. Sliter's lost a couple of places. I think that was that tiny little bit of contact right at the beginning of the lap, wasn't it? It was a little tiny little nudge there. Yep. So they might also see a couple of drivers there with a little bit of wing damage. It's not often you get to tap the side of someone else's car without it touching the end of your wing, isn't it?
Yep. Yeah, and any contact is normally fairly catastrophic.
It's open wheel, isn't it?
For these,
of all the divisions that you can go racing in, you can go racing in GT cars, you can go racing in touring cars, you can go racing in Indy cars, NASCARs. There's many disciplines. But when you come to open wheel, the whole point behind open wheel is catastrophic disaster if you touch each other. There is no room for side-by-side wheel banging. There is no room for a little bit of tapping on the bumper. You don't have any bumpers. If you tap the car in front, it's probably going to slide off. You're going to lift him up, and he's going to slide off because you momentarily reduce his rear traction. You're going to get wing damage. It's going to ruin your race, his race. The idea of open wheel is no contact, isn't it? You've got great visibility. Yep. You've got no cockpit around you. You've got no roof. You've got no bars to, no A posts and windows to obstruct your vision. You've got great looking around your car. It's sat right in the middle. You know what I mean? You're not sat off to one side. You've got great mirrors and that. It's the idea is no contact. But yeah, as we just see some of these drivers now trying to desperately keep heating their tyres, which will fail, as we've mentioned in our previous streams. The F3 tyres, the Hankooks that these guys are dished out with, they just, unless you're at racing speed, they just lose pressure and temperature. You can weave around all you want, it will help you, and you will lose less pressure, but you still get a cold tyre, just not as cold as it would be if you did nothing.
Yep, yeah, it's extremely hard to get that cold tire up to temp when you're not going, what these tires are designed for, over 100 miles an hour, up into the 120, 30, 40, 50 range, depending on where you're at. But it's, designed to take that heat and last and go for X amount of laps, and it just really makes it hard when you're going, 40 miles an hour, 50 miles an hour instead of 120.
We're just listening to a couple of the team radios there. A couple of the guys having a discussion about these said little contacts and things like that. Like you were saying, the Brandon Walkers and the Rob Slighters, both yellow cars we've seen in a little bit of contact. Although be it a very small amount of contact, we've got a little bit of chattery going on there about potential said damage. Does the car feel okay? Does it feel bent? You don't really know. Until you get up to speed. We saw this at Watkins last week, didn't we? We saw Epps have a little bit of contact with a couple of cars into turn 4, and I don't think he realised just how badly damaged his front wing was until the safety car came in and everyone started going, and he lost 3 positions in about 4 corners. So it was I've got damage, and you're not necessarily 100% aware of it. Obviously the guys with VR are a lot more aware and conscious of the damage on their vehicle than the guys without VR, because you can move around in the cockpit and put your head up and have a look over the front and have a look at your front wing. You can turn around and have a look at your back wing. You can look at your car. Obviously a privilege that the guys with screens will definitely not have.
Yeah, the biggest thing is, that ability as a VR driver, because myself, I'm a VR driver, and I find myself doing exactly what you said, lifting up and looking to see if you can't see a little bit of wing damage, just like you're driving in real life, trying to look behind you as much as you can to see if you have, anything on the back wing, or if you can see it moving around at all, and, it gives you that real immersion, whereas some of the guys, they drive with either triple monitors or just a single monitor. You can't move. You can't move up and look. You can't shift around in your cockpit and see if you have wheel damage, or look at a wheel from another angle. You just
get what you give them.
You see what's on your screen, and that's it.
This is hope not to have many safety cars this afternoon, but that is obviously the first safety car. We just talk a little bit about, obviously I think we're going to get lights out on the safety car as he comes over the start finish, which means we will go racing on the next lap. But this is obviously round 10 of the IFL. This is the American Grand Prix, and after this we only have one more race in this part of the world as we move a little bit south into Brazil, as we race at Interlagos, and then we obviously have our autumn break or our summer break before we come back in Asia in a couple of weeks after that. So yeah, this is it. We've had, what did we start with? We started with Long Beach, we went to Canada, we went to Road Atlanta, we went to Watkins Glen, we are now here, and then we're going to go to Interlagos, and that will be our American tour done. It's been talking to some of these drivers and being involved with it, it's been tough for some of these English drivers and the European drivers to go to so many American tracks back to back like this, and the American drivers have had a much easier time. As I know personally, some of these drivers have actually been to some of these racetracks, home turf style, so you would just naturally adapt to your home ground. Obviously that will swing back the other way when we end up back in Europe for rounds 16, 17 and 18. I can't remember what 16 is, but I know we're doing Silverstone and Hockenheim, so back in Germany for the final round. As we see the cars now, they do a lot of laps under the safety car, don't they? It's always 2 or 3 or 4 laps.
Yep. Yeah, I think the iRacing default is 3 laps from when they get behind the safety car.
Give or take.
And lights are out on it, so this will be our lap that we go green.
Yeah.
But just a long wait, and everybody's going to be eager. Everybody's going to be on cold tires. We see it week in and week out.
Yep. It's just really easy to roll into a second mistake, isn't it? So,
mm-hmm.
The nature of this circuit, we've already been bitten by we've already been bitten by the single file. It's just too many levels of cars, isn't it? It's just too. Especially with this car, maybe in a higher formula, maybe with a bit more downforce, you would be able to react to it in the middle of a corner, say. So you'd see a car there going for the gap. You've got some physics to try and deal with it, but then in these cars, you set the car up and you put it in the corner, and you have to make an adjustment. As you saw, I can't remember who it was earlier. Was it Collins? As soon as you have to do something a little bit different in the as we see someone that was very yeah, that was super. Obviously this is difficult. Each driver's doing their own, they're doing their own thing.
Do we have eyes on what happened there, or who that was?
Yeah, I think I heard that on the radio. Alex missed a shift, and I think it just caught Rob out there. That I'm not sure they touched each other, but
laps it again.
Yeah, it's just oh, they did. See a little bit of contact there, so I assume if Rob didn't already have a tiny little bit of wing, he will now.
Oh yeah.
Whoa, that was nearly a 3-way. So some of these drivers, I mean, that is a little mistake there, as we see. But we're just about to go back to this. We haven't got many corners to go before we go back racing. Only a couple, 2 or 3 corners to go.
Caitlin's going to be looking to, if her race starts are consistent, she's going to take off as soon as she gets around that corner, and let everybody get hung up by the corner and hung up by the other drivers around them, so then she can try and get as much space as she can.
I mean, the start-finish line, she's got to go pretty early, because the start-finish line, of which it will go green if you haven't already, is right at the start of that start-finish line, as we will see the safety car.
Yep, should come in here and
into the line now. Yeah, this is
Yep, he's pulling off to the right of our screen. And Caitlin.
The pace is now being dictated by Katie. She can now go at any moment.
Oh, and she's holding it up. There she goes.
Gone. That's it. So we were already fighting up the back there. Oh, Alex again. I think maybe missed another shift. We might have a bit of gear going wrong there. I think Katie's got the lead height, but I think Alex might have a little problem with his upshifts there. Katie's comfortably got the lead there. Matt Turner, take a second. Are we all going to get through? A little bit of a lock-up from one of the blue cars going wide. Side by side at the back, Brandon Walker gets the inside of somebody. We've got a spinner. Is that Trumbulley? It is Trumbulley. Unfortunately, he spun on the exit under power. Just trying to defend there from Brandon Walker. Good move there by Brandon. Unfortunately, it rumbled there, as everybody this time is just a bit spread out. And nobody trying to do anything through this second sector there, as Matt is really trying to push on now for the lead on these of what must be crazy cold tyres, as we've got one of the Lumos cars going around the outside of a turning point. Scharzer and Wallace. No. Oh, we got an accident into the hairpin between Steltflug. Oh no, this is big again. Oh, as we see is that Breivik off?
Yep, looks like Breivik is...
Breivik off, and Collins and Steltflug. This is bad. What did we see there? What did we see there?
Let's jump on back and see Breivik coming off the track here. Coming back onto the track.
No caution this time.
Looked
I
like
don't think it would...
Looked like it was Anthony Wallace getting into Corey Schartz, or Corey Schartz are getting into Anthony Wallace, pushing him wide.
There was a few. There was about 2 or 3 separate incidents there, wasn't there? I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure that we saw Stelpflug outbrake himself and hit the back of Breivik. I'm sure, or Breivik early on the break. But yeah, this is where I think it happens.
Oh yeah!
Bang! Big clumbo there from Stelpflug, and then a secondary. This is it. And once you've done that, everybody's distracted. And actually, a lot of those guys done well to get away from that cleanly.
And that's those.
Dive in the pit. That's a bad car there from Stelpflug trying to get back to the pit, but that's crabbing big time.
And the crazy thing about that is, you know, everybody, they know it, but you know they're trying to push it as hard as they can, and the big thing was those cold tires and cold brakes. You know, it's not just the tires that get cold; those brakes like to be warm, and everybody is used to their setups being nice and hot tires, nice hot warm brakes, and you go into that, you know, that long straightaway and you hit the brakes and you expect it to grab some more and slow you down a lot quicker. And combination.
We've got Breivik in the pit lane. We've got Slater in the pit lane. We've got Boggs in the pit lane. I think Boggs may be a DNF, or maybe this is his second thing because his car is bent and it's not repairing itself. As we return to a 1.2 lead for Caitlin Height there. Good racing from her so far. Again, Breivik was one of the main protagonists here. He was going to bring the fight, wasn't he? He was 1/10 off for the pole. So I feel like as long as Katie can get her pace down and just keep with the consistency and not spin like she did at Watkins last week, this is her race, although we are only 6 laps out of 28. As we see a big lock up there. Oh,
Steve Bunting.
Some of these drivers there. Yep, starting to get boisterous on the warm tyres now.
Yep.
It's getting interesting down the back.
Just pushing it a little too far into the turns before he's braking is Steve Bunting, and Jackson Carr just gets right around him because Steve Bunting is over driving the turns just a little bit too much. He's not getting the braking power he wants, whereas Jackson, I think, is being a little bit more cautious, and it's paying off for him.
This is turning out to be a good race. It's disappointing to, as we said before, not to see Shegerman already here to defend his second place in the title. Obviously, he only lost it in the last round, so he's really going to lose it hard now. But, as we see the championship leader absolutely run away with this race.
Yep, Steve Bunting still overdriving those corners just the tiniest bit, and he is gonna concede 8th place to Rory Collins as he goes by through the S's. You can see him coming through. You don't want to go side by side like we saw earlier.
That's it. There's just it takes 2 incredibly skilled drivers to do so, and the amount of time that you both lose as a result of picking a side to the track and staying on is just in the seconds. It's not in the tenths. It's in the seconds. It's absolutely completely ridiculous. You may as well give it up. Oh, this is tight again. Rob looking up for a way past Breivik there. This is a fight definitely worth watching. As maybe we can go on board with Rob now.
Top 2 on. Right behind Breivik, and we have Anthony Wallace in front of them. That seemed like he was having a little bit of an issue there in turn 1.
And I think obviously both of these drivers are Breivik down 11, Rob down 9, unfortunately, on their starting positions. Both of these guys have been caught up in early race stuff, and I think they have pitted for a damage repair and are now back on equal terms again. So Rob looking to hang with Breivik here and move back up through the grid as we see a beautiful reflection of that nose cone now. The lighting's getting better and better now.
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially
sets a couple out there.
Especially you see a lot of these.
Oh, Breivik, we're going to see an onboard here from Rob, but Rob doesn't know which slipstream to go for as Breivik takes the inside of Anthony Wallace there, and Rob looking to make good of the ground that Wallace is going to lose. See if Rob can follow through here and get through and carry on following Breivik. Let's see what Breivik can do and bring his race back in from that unlucky tap up the back there from Steltfug. As Rob goes around the outside there of Anthony Wallace, he's going to have to keep it nice and smooth. Super move on the outside there, and it will be his corner now if he can get this car. Yeah, I feel like that's a done deal. Brilliant overtake move from there.
Beautiful pass nice there from Rob. And Anthony is normally a really good defender, so I almost think Anthony Wallace has a little bit of damage on him somewhere.
Oh, as we see Rob go wide into the last corner there. So again, it's all good and well coming up to somebody and passing them. You've then got to compound it, haven't you? You've then got to show that you've got that superiority and you've got that pace to continue being there and get away. As we see Anthony Wallace behind Rob's still the closest gap that we've got on track, as Jackson Carr there and Brandon Walker and Nick Marshall. I feel like there's a bit of a compression going on now. It's the fight that we're looking at screen now. So you've got Jackson Carr in the red, Brandon Walker in his first drive for the Cuda Evo there, and Nicholas Marshall just in front of that. This fight, I believe, will be hotting up in the next couple of laps. Brandon Walker caught in that early crash with Jackson Carr, and they're both back up now to P6 and P7. So may not be the first time we see these guys fighting this afternoon.
Nope, and we have Anthony Wallace right on the inside of Rob Slider. Oof.
Yeah, see, not Rob, just not quite able to compound that and get away, is it? Maybe he made a slight mistake there because he was 7 or 8 tenths in front there. Ooh. As we see Rob taking a big sweep around the outside to keep that momentum, he's going to have a great exit now. Anthony had to back out of that, didn't he? The gap was just closing there.
Yeah, it's quite the close race here that we got going on. It's you know, we're looking at 14th place, and these guys are exciting along with everybody else.
Still fighting, yeah. Still absolutely sending it.
These guys just going side by side in every single turn, but we're going to jump away from them to jump up to 6th and 7th place, where we have 3 cars right here. Brandon Walker closing the gap on Nicholas Marshall, and Jackson Carr closing the gap on Brandon Walker. So they're all kind of compressing together again here.
And this is it. I mean, you know, when there's a three-way fight, it's much more difficult to manage than a two-way fight, isn't it? When you're you can get your eyes set on one driver, but as soon as there's two, your brain has to deal with not only what you're doing, it's got to deal with 2 other lines, isn't it? And it just makes, like Rob there, he didn't know which slipstream to go for and which car to attack. Do you know what I mean? It's quite difficult. As we see Brandon there, only 6 tenths behind Nicholas Marshall now, and Jackson Carr only 9 tenths behind that. They'll be getting incredible draft up the straight there, as Brandon's just looking for a little bit of smooth air there to brake with. It's a good technique that, if you see drivers doing that, and it looks like they're going to go for an overtaking manoeuvre, but they're quite clearly too far back. Oh! Much quicker through that section there, obviously so much quicker that it caught Brandon out there. And this is for a track position, this Nicholas Marshall, so he's got to fight for this.
Yep.
As I think we're in the best seat of the house, aren't we?
Yep, right here, right from the cockpit of Jackson Carr, watching Brandon Walker and Nicholas Marshall fight out in front of him, and we can see just how it unfolds from a third driver perspective. And we got Brandon Walker making a move. Oh, and can Jackson Carr make it stick? Oh, he's side by side now.
Yep, Nicholas gets that extra run on the outside. I think he's going to try and squeeze up the inside into turn 1, isn't he? He's got the priority now. He's well alongside. That car definitely looking like it's got less aero. Excellent dive up the inside there, as Nicholas loses 2 positions there in a matter of 2 or 3 corners and slips from P5 down to P7. Still very good position for Nicholas, as he's got 6 seconds back to Steve Bunting. So if he could just get his head down now, and get some lap.
And we see Nicholas is making up a tiny bit of time there on Jackson Carr, so he might have that higher downforce package for the S's, which is going to help him out. He's back down to only half a second behind.
We've got Rob Slighter in the pit lane. We're at lap 10 of 28. This may be a scheduled pit. Lap 10. probably get to the end. Oh, as we see a spinner Rooney here. Oh no, that was a curb. That was a curb and a bump and a spinala. Might need to get a replay of that as David Trumbley. Yeah, I think he was just in the middle of a fight, looking for a way past here. A little bit less
up behind, and
yeah.
Tries to cut a little too hard there.
I think he thought maybe he was a little bit closer to that Orion car than he actually was, and maybe took I'll take the left-hand side. And bang, that's it. You cannot hit these curbs. Absolutely fundamentally, you can't hit these curbs. As we see inter-team fighting here between Matt Steltflug and Rob Sliter. Now, Rob Sliter's just come out the pit lane, having fueled up and tired up for what I'm now assuming will be the rest of the race. And Matt Steltflug pitted some laps ago with that absolute mega damage. He's trying to recover something here. He's still on the lead lap and pushing, but obviously these guys will... they'll both be wanting to make their way up, but Matt Steltflug will probably have to pit again for fuel and tyres, unfortunately. But not a lot to choose between Rob and Matt, because some days Rob is a bit faster than Matt, some days Matt is a little bit faster than Rob. It does, as we see it sway from track to track. Matt looking to get the draft there all the way up the back straight. It's the closest gap on track right now, with a 6/10 gap between these two. Katie just looking like she's stretching her legs now. She's got about 5 seconds on these guys and 8 seconds back to Gutnick, so it's a fairly uncontested lead at the moment. I feel if she keeps her race clean, she's got this one in the bag, and definitely with that comes a healthy portion of championship momentum. As we see a couple of little varying lines there, Matt choosing a much straighter braking point into that sharper corner there. Rob getting a slightly better exit into this section.
Yep, and that corner is very crucial. The exit sets you up for the triple apex, but the bigger thing is
2/10 just in that corner.
Yep, and the biggest thing is, just keeping that car from getting a little upset if you try and brake while you're turning. It depends on your brake bias.
We got a close fight there. Jackson cars all over the back of Brandon Walker as well. This is this is 3/10 now. No, stay where you are. This is pretty good. Steltflug's still closest. Is he looking for a way past? Ooh, that looked almost certainly like contact from the angle that we were looking at. But isn't it funny, camera angles? That definitely looked like contact, but as soon as it switched to the other one, it looked absolutely fine. But they got very, very, very close there, didn't they? And he's going to have to stay patient now, Steltflug, into this midsection again. You can't go side by side. Payment via curb death if you do. As the gap now has gone up to just nearly a second now, you do experience a little bit of dirty air going through this. Again, not too much in this car, but it's enough for you to lose a couple of tenths. You have to be really, really that much faster to hang with a car that's downforce through a section like that. As we see Matt trying to brake as late as he can to get the momentum out and try and hang on to some of this draft that Rob's going to be producing down this straight. It's a 7.5 gap now. Let's see what it is when we get to the end. As we also see Walker a little bit further up the track with a 6/10 lead. A gap on... wow, these guys are really that much further ahead. They're only a few corners behind these guys. Incredible. That really does show you just... I mean, these guys are about 30 seconds from being where we just were with Steltflug and Sliter there. Incredible. After just 12 laps. Crazy stuff.
Yep, big gap from the front to the back. If we look here, for total gap, you have about a minute and 50 from Caitlin Height to Matt Steltflug, a lap down for Buddy Boggs. But just some big time gaps. Mostly, I want to say, because of that incident that we saw in the hairpin. The incident, it all time, didn't we? It all slid off the track, but everybody slowed down and had to get around, and some people had to pit, and it spread everything out.
So as we approach close to halfway now, we are lap 13 now of 28, so we are pretty much close to halfway. We have Caitlin Height there with a 6.5 second, a very comfortable cushion there. I feel like she's driving well within herself this week. She's going to bring this one home. As we see a locker there. Oh, I don't think that was punishable. Just going wide there. But we see Matt Turner with a solid P2. That's that 6.5 10th gap. He's only gained 1 position on his qualifying start. We Alex Gutenek there, as we see, he was bit banged about at the start, sat in 3rd. Great stuff from him at the moment. Eric Beddoes sat in a fantastic P4. If things stay the way they are, he'll take massive points from that, more than I think he's got in his whole tally so far. As we see Turner go up the inside there, obviously that will be Brandon Walker there has managed to claw his way back up to P5 for an incredible run for his debut at Cuda Evo. So obviously he will have to pit again. Jackson Carr also an incredible P6 from also being caught up in that same incident. So both those drivers doing really well to get back up to where they are. Nicholas Marshall hasn't lost any more positions and has pretty much maintained that 6-second gap back to Steve Bunting. So things are looking good for Nicholas as well in a point scoring kind of way today. David Trumbulley sat there in 9th, and Breivik has managed to scrape just back as far as 1 point from his incredible P2 there. Unfortunately got banged out by Matt Steltflug, who is dealing with a world of pain back there. Still fighting with Rob hard. These two are fighting really hard on track now, Rob and Steltflug. Steltflug's just got past Rob there. We just missed that on the camera.
Yep, we have 3 big fights going on.
Still going.
Rob Slater.
It happens all at once, doesn't it?
Rob Slater on Matt Steltflug.
Rob is not going to want to let this go.
And Jackson Carr on Brandon Walker as well.
Yeah, this is super close now. I think we may skip back to Jackson Carr. Hustling, these 2 yellow cars are getting a good bit of airtime. I feel like Rob is going to want to fight this, but not too hard, because I feel like Matt's got a pit still. And Rob will know that, and just keep the pace up and let the positions come to him. But these guys are on for it, aren't they? They've both got to pit yet, so this is just a legitimate straight fight.
Yep, and we have Eric Beddoes is getting, I think he's getting run down a bit by Brandon Walker and Jackson Carr. They're fighting each other, but at the same time, they're making some ground on Eric Beddoes.
So yeah, this way, and we still have a long way to go. We've just gone past the halfway point. So as we see Caitlin's lead extend to 7 seconds, she's just knocking it back 2/10 every lap, isn't she? She's just creeping there. As we see Slater and Steltflug change position again, this is definitely... Oh, we've seen some stuff there. What is going on? This is all happening all at exactly the same time. Pit exit, I see Breivik and Trumbulley have gone past. See, there's some scheduled pit stops. Nicholas Marshall's chosen to come in the pits. Charts us through. Bunting's also coming to the pit lane, and I think Steltflug and Slater are damn close again.
Ooh, Beddoes has crashed according to...
Oh, yeah, just seen that. Yeah, Eric's just had that moment at turn 1, and Brandon's just... Oh, clever stuff going around the outside, but I think he's going to then lose that. Oh, he was lucky there. If he's not been already passed, this is going to be really close. 2/10. Yeah, this is definitely the fight now. Beddoes,
3-way fight.
Yes. Beddoes is looking to come back on this because he was ahead of this.
Beddoes almost into the back of Carr.
Yep. Having to take evasive action there to get out of there. It's a very difficult thing to do that. Know you're going to crash and let off the brakes for some steering. So well done, Eric, there. Needs to calm down and compose himself and get back on with the rhythm. He had good pace. As Walker go wide there, and it's going to give Carr the outside, but it's not the way you want to go. It's just not the... Yeah, and that's it. The track just went in Brandon's favour there. If that would have happened somewhere else on the track, I feel like he'd have lost the position there. Under some real heat now, I feel like Brandon's really pushing for this. Really pushing for this.
Yeah, Brandon
and
Walker
they've
back.
both moved up, please. They've both moved up, haven't they? So they're now in P4 and P5. This is incredible. Yep. This is great race now.
And how much can Beddoes catch up with those two fighting each other?
Yeah, this is it.
It's going to be a nice fight for... I don't think any of these cars have been in such a great position consistently. We normally see these guys finishing a little farther back, so great performances so far by Walker, Carr, and Beddoes. And we have, Breivik, who is 22 seconds back from these guys, that will be trying to close that gap as much as he can, being one of the fastest cars on the track, but never know what damage or what's going to become of that. As we see, Jackson Carr is only 8/10 behind, and Eric Beddoes is only 1.1 seconds behind now. He's made up almost a second.
Yeah, we've witnessed the pit stop. It's already happened. I said this earlier. Rob Slyter and Matt Steltflag were fighting. Matt Steltflag's now pitted, and he's now back at the back of the field. And Rob can now continue his race. He's got a big gap to. I think he may be getting a bit of heat from Boggs behind him, but he's got a long way to Collins in front. So he's got a bit of clear track now. Rob, he could just get his head down and power on. So the main fight. Oh, as we see Rob Slyter there go in the pit again. Maybe he didn't have enough fuel.
Maybe a little bit of damage, or
he's out.
He is out. Maybe he had something happen. But we have Jackson Carr is real close now on Brandon Walker.
It's tight, isn't it? Super tight from these guys now. Wonderful racing, and obviously these guys had an initial moment early on in the race, and since then they've been able to just get on with this fighting and keep it clean.
Yep.
And,
yeah, these were the two that came together that caused that first yellow flag, and they got back into it, got back on the track, going again, and they're right up here in 4th and 5th.
And Eric's pulling them in. Eric is pulling them in. He's making this two-way fight a three-way fight. He's really pushing the limits now. He's going right over the curb exits. I can keeping my eye on that blue car. As Steve Bunting's also super close to Anthony Wallace now. And it's just dropped back. But there's a few close fights happening now as we've got staggered pit stops up and down the grid. The leaders, Height, Turner, Gutnick, etc. I'm pretty sure Walker and Carr will have to pit again because they pitted super early. Well, I don't think they did. I'm not sure they pitted, did they?
Well, let's take a look here. Their pit lap. We had Carr pit on lap 1, and Walker did not pit, seeing as he didn't really have any damage. And Beddoes has yet to pit. And Breivik pit on lap 5.
So they will have to pit again. So Carr, maybe Carr have a little bit more fuel than Brandon Walker, but they will both certainly. They won't make it to the end from. Well, yeah, certainly Carr won't make it to the end from lap 5. No way. Nick Marshall and Trumbley there, swapping positions. But yeah, 8 points in the lead now for Height. This is definitely a comfortable lead here, isn't it? As these guys are tight. Eric's definitely staying within a second of these guys.
Yep, and Eric might be just waiting for his time to attack. So we see Jackson Carr is getting even closer in this last sector here. And same with Beddoes getting closer to Carr. You can see Carr's right on the bumper there of Beddoes.
He's definitely pulling it back in. Oh, you see Beddoes go a little bit wide there. It's hard, isn't it? When you've got that distraction of the two cars in front of you, especially if they're moving around a bit and trying to find a way past or defend or attacking each other. But they both will be losing time. Brandon will be certainly feeling the heat here. As Brandon, he's trying to break the toe there. I feel like he will have only lost a little bit of time doing that. Yeah, look, 2 or 3 tenths there he's lost just doing that one little thing there.
Yep, Brandon on the inside.
Yep, he just squared off his braking zone there. Had to do a curved braking zone straight, and it's worth 2 tenths. As we see him take, Brandon goes a bit wide there. Nice corrective manoeuvre there. I think Jackson was a little bit goaded in. This is going to be playing into Eric's hands really well.
Yep, Eric's still back to within a second now.
He's still a second there, but this is working. This is working for Eric as we see Eric carry tremendous speed through that second sector, much faster than Carr there. He just gained nearly half a second in 4 corners. That was crazy.
Yep, Carr might be.
He's all over him. He's going to do it now. He's all over him. Come on, Eric. Send it up the inside.
He's got the
As
speed.
We see him take now. He's got the speed. He's going to take the inside line into the hairpin, and the corner's going to go his way. Will Jackson let him go? He gets his brakes sighted up. He blocks off the exit nicely. Yes! Good stuff from Eric. Fantastic, as he's got a little 3/10 gap there. Jackson doing well there to get out of the way. Opting not to take the toe, though. Look. Opting not to come back under slipstream. That's interesting.
Yep, he staying in that clean air.
Lost another 2 tenths. Look.
Yep. Normally you see that he would want to be in that slip.
Height in the pit lane to make her one and only scheduled pit stop there, so she will come out, I feel, just behind Gutnick.
Yep. Now does Turner and Gutnick do they also pit, trying to just mirror the leader there, or how do they go about it? If you're Alex, Gutnick, and Matt Turner,
you won't have too much of a fuel, especially this far in the race. You may have had some drivers that opted for a slightly empty car. You see a
Wow,
whole bunch of drivers.
we got three
all
coming
three.
in.
Yeah, so this whole entire fight. So let's keep an eye on this because these guys are so close now. Let's keep an eye on the whole entire pit procedure to see who wins and who loses. So we have Brandon Walker, Eric Beddoes and Jackson Carr all pitting at the same time. Let's see if we can get a gainer or a loser with somebody that makes the pit entry and exit phase a little bit cleaner than the other guys as we see them come to a stop now.
Yep, you can definitely make or break a pit stop here.
Yep. Who's away first? Who's away first?
We
Brandon's
see
away first.
Brandon Walker first. Ooh.
Just in front of Eric there. So close, so close. This is like 2 or 3 tenths coming into the hill
Jackson
there.
Carr is stuck in the pit for some reason. Maybe he's got some damage.
Jackman's dropped the gun. No. It didn't look like he had damage, did he, from the pace that he was holding? But for whatever reason, that car isn't going anywhere.
Nope, and we have
Still
Beddoes.
slipping down the order. Still slipping down the order.
We got Beddoes right there
All
with
over
Walker.
And this is it. So these guys, and he's still in the pit lane. Jackson Carr, I feel whatever pit exit. So Jackson's come all the way out in P12. Unfortunate for that man there. I don't know what happened, but it does not take that long to do anything in this car.
He must have had damage.
Unless it's damage, yeah.
Must have had damage, maybe from that first incident, and it just didn't get fixed, or he didn't have all these drivers get one fast repair, so he might not have had that clicked.
Matt Turner's coming into the pit lane there. He will surely leave the lead to Gutnick, the only non-stopper, as Caitlin Height, I'm sure, will overtake Matt as well.
We got a battle here. Oof.
Oh! Anthony Wallace there getting a hefty chop there from one of those Wolfpack racing cars. It's going to take the good line back to see what they can do up the straight here. 2 tenths is going to be on this, isn't he? Marshall's going to be on this, and it's for points this. It's for good points. Nicholas looking very, very fighty here. Going to take to the inside. Anthony not defending that hard. Getting a better run though. More confident on the brakes by far and keeping that position there. But Eric Beddoes there, just slipping back a couple of tenths on Brandon Walker now. Brandon's got a 1.6 lead over Eric Beddoes there. We're just keeping our eye on that little fight. Obviously, and Corey Shartson now is all over the back of Eric Beddoes. As we come into the last corner there, you can just see Brandon Walker getting away with it. As if look, these tyres are nice and Corey all over it now. He's got a great big pace advantage. Eric will be on brand new tyres and Corey most certainly won't be. So this is why you'll see a straight pace advantage as Corey takes to the inside here. Can he outbrake? Eric does so. Keeps his car in check. Hits the exit bump. Squares it off down the hill. Nice move there on the inside of turn 1 for Corey. Moving him up into P6. Now, I'm not sure if he's got to pit as well. I think he pitted on lap 5, didn't he?
Yep. Yeah, lap 5.
No.
We just popped up the graphic there. Lap 5 is
Couldn't imagine.
Not going to get him to the end, I wouldn't think. It'll get him close, but I don't think he will be able to go to the end. So he's just kind of sticking his nose in between Brandon Walker, Eric Beddoes, and that'll create a gap between them a little bit. And then Anthony Wallace behind lap 6. He is 13 seconds back behind Beddoes, so he shouldn't pose any sort of threat to Beddoes as long as he keeps it clean.
Gutnick going long into the race now, lap 20 of 28, and he's still yet to pit.
Yep.
Going long, still setting best sectors as well for him. So obviously he's only 6.4 in front of Caitlin. So when he comes in, he will most certainly come out behind Turner, maybe even Breivik. I'm pretty sure Breivik's going to have to pit again. And that will move him down to P8, P9, the back end of the point, something there, into a tight fight between, Bunting, Collins and Marshall and all that, into a tight field up the back there. Things are still pretty tight, aren't they? All up and down the grid.
Yeah, after everything's settled, dust settled from the incident, you have, Gutnick and Height. Height will pass him when he pits. We have Turner 10 seconds behind Height. And then Breivik 34 seconds behind Turner. But other than that, the rest of them, Walker to Schartzer to Beddoes to Wallace, it's all fairly close. And then from Wallace to Marshall to Collins to Bunting, they're all within 2 seconds of each other as well.
Personal best there for Schartzer. I think he's having his push, isn't he? He's decided he's going to get up and go now. And obviously we were going to mention as well, Matt Stelfrug there back with P14 after his early Clumbo there with Breivik. He's pushing hard and catching buddy bogs.
And Corey Schartzer right now, he's got to be on that lower fuel, and his tires are that much warmer than Walker's and Beto's, who just came out of the pits when Schartzer was coming up behind him. So
he's made meat of that gap, and
he's just picking away 10th by 10th, and down these straights you'll really see it here. Especially being in slipstream, he will be able to catch catch Walker very quickly. If not on this straight, it'll be on the next straight for sure.
Yeah, if I was Brandon, I wouldn't want to fight this too hard because there's an obvious pace deficit. Brandon's got a full tank of fuel, at least a 15 lap difference, 12 lap difference, and Corey hasn't. So there will be a massive pace deficit. So yeah, but it's whether you know that and whether your team can tell you this, and keep you in the know.
Yep. Yeah, because you're going to lose time to the guy behind you if you end up trying to block and fight a car that's going to essentially be, 30 seconds behind you once he pits anyway. So do you let him by and just, let him do his race and, leave a little bit of a gap, or what do you do if you're Brandon Walker? Do you fight it and, hope to push him back even more? It's a hard call.
Yep, when Corey pits, he will be a long way down. He will lose all these positions. He will lose at least, he'll be P12. Again, Corey going long into the race. I mean, I'm sure these guys that have pitted lap 5, lap 6, lap 5 aren't going to make it to the end.
Yeah, I don't think there's any way they could.
And that's a long old stint. I mean, that would be 23 laps on one tank of fuel.
Yep.
As you can see, an enormous speed difference between these two cars now. The closing difference coming into the corners. I mean, these cars, their fuel tank is right underneath the driver's seat, right behind the driver, essentially underneath them. So all the weight is right in the middle of the car. So if you don't have any of that in the car is just so much more settled and balanced. It's got much, much, much more braking stability, much better turning, much better direction change and things like that. And Corey's just absolutely trying to take advantage of that, as we see Brandon trying to cut back and take the big swooping lines to keep himself in front. But I'm sure he wouldn't be fighting this hard if he knew that Corey is still yet to pit. But you don't know these things.
Yeah, when you're out on track, you're kind of on your own.
I think this is the first time. Yeah, I think this is the first time these two have come to the same point in the track, and Brandon having a fantastic run here, sat in P5 after what must have seemed early on an unlucky race. But, so we have Gutenek still running long. I mean,
maybe so if Gutenek can go this long,
22, yeah, maybe they won't have to pit again.
Maybe Schartzer won't, and maybe Brandon Walker is,
This is going to be tight. I feel like the guys that pitted on lap 5. Now, if they don't have to pit, Wallace, Schartzer and Breivik all pitted lap 6, lap 5. Breivik's going to have had an absolutely storming resurgence. I assumed he had to pit again, so I've been thinking this whole time, looking at that timing tower, that Breivik's going to drop down the order at some point. But if he doesn't and he manages to get to the end, incredible, absolutely incredible to come back to P4 like that. Unbelievable. Yeah. Unbelievable.
Same for Schartzer coming up to P6 right now. And Anthony Wallace somehow making it to P9. He's in the points, but he was definitely in a couple of those incidents early on. And if anybody has a little bit more of an advantage to try and get to the end, it'd be Wallace, who looks like is trying to pass Nicholas Marshall right now, and it looks like he will get by him. Let's see if he can make it stick, and Nicholas just has a little bit of a turn away from the...
Yep. And he's going to be under heat straight away from Collins, isn't he? He's right there, 3/10. But there's nothing you can do coming into this sector, but Collins is right on him. Anthony getting away with it there.
We got Schartzer making his move now on Walker. He's less than a 10th.
And this is for position, we believe.
Ooh.
We believe. Oh!
Wow.
Don't want to do that, guys. As you see, that as soon as you do that, as soon as you do that, you have to take a bit of a hesitant. You tend to just panic brake, and then you lose a bit of exit speed, as we see Brandon, I think, is going to survive this lap.
Yep, and Gutenek has pit now. He's in the pit lane. and that is on lap
Oh, late.
23.
So that I mean, let's assume that he had as much fuel as more than anybody else, because he's obviously the last one to pit. Lap 23 of 28, that is exactly 5 to go. So it's going to be tight. It's going to be tight for Breivik, and it's going to be tight for Schatzer.
Oh! Let's see if Walker can get going again. Walker gets moving.
Yep,
he's still going, but he's going to have a little bit of side damage.
That could have been a hell of a lot worse for Walker there. He might have a little bit of diffuser damage there.
Yep.
I think Schatzer, that's absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, Schatzer's opportunity to gain that position gone.
And Beto's coming up behind him now. You can see him.
They're both coming into the pits to repair that damage. They both obviously feel like that's too much.
And Beto's is going to jump up into 5th place because of it. Wow.
Is that the only gainer? Anthony Wallace may also gain from this as well.
Yep.
And Marshall might gain from this. Collins might gain from this. Bunting might gain from this.
Yeah.
Incredibly unlucky from these guys. I mean, I feel like Brandon may have actually been okay.
Yep. I think Brandon would have been fine. Like we said before, he had that little bit of side damage. And
Schatzer going through the pits.
Oh, Schatzer must have gotten. That's a drive-through penalty. So Schatzer must have had his drive-through penalty, as you see Nicholas Marshall up in the 7th, Anthony Wallace to 6th, and Rory Collins in 8th. Schatzer with the drive-through. Wow. And Beto's now sitting up in 5th with a 12-second gap behind him, a 22-second gap in front of him, or a 35-second gap in front of him. He's just kind of stuck in 5th place.
What can Walker do for the next 4 laps? Can Walker... He's got 1, 2, 3, 4 cars in front of him up to Nicholas Marshall to gain back pretty much to where he was. Back to P6. He's going to have to drive the socks off of that car for the next 4 laps. And I don't believe he would have taken tyres. So he'd have just used his fast repair that he didn't use earlier on in the race. And that'll be that.
Nicholas Marshall, a little bit of a lock up there. And can Collins take the advantage away from him? Wow, right behind him.
Going to the inside there, or what will be the inside in a minute when we get to the hairpin. Definitely a straight line advantage there from the Orion car there. Eric trying the best he can. Whoa! He only just got round that. They both lost so much time trying to keep side by side there. Both great, from both drivers to keep from the contact there.
Yep, and Schatzer right there with him now. Schatzer going to make the...
This is going to be tough. I smell an incident.
Schatzer gets by.
Around the outside.
Steve
Eric's
Bunting.
On the inside now, yep.
Steve Bunting is back up here with these guys in 10th.
Oh, it's Steve. Yeah, my apologies.
Eric's up in 5th. His teammate.
Oh.
And this is a scary part to try and go too wide, because you're just holding it and you're just flat out as fast as you can go.
And Brandon's got to be rubbing his hands together. He can just see all this kicking up in the distance. And the more time these guys lose looking at each other and fighting each other, the more chance he's got of using these last 4 laps to gain something back.
Yep, look at these guys.
2.7 now.
All within,
now.
All within striking distance.
He's gained 7 tenths now.
It's going to be, at this point in the race, it's all mental. You know,
on now. Schatzer should. I feel like he's pace-wise out of all of these guys. Provided he doesn't make any mistakes, he should now shoot off from this little.
You would think, but Nicholas Marshall right now holding right behind him. He's actually gaining time right now. Like I said, I think he's got that higher downforce package for the S's, and it just plays into his hands as Nicholas Marshall is losing a little bit, gaining a little bit, losing a little bit. As all these guys do in the S's, we'll see how everything stacks back up. And Nicholas Marshall is gaining on Schatzer 6 tenths, down to about a half a second. Wow.
Incredible. He's definitely one of the most improved drivers of our season so far, isn't he, Nicholas Marshall? He was a solid back of the grid racer 6 races ago, and he's improving every single race. We see massive leaps from this guy. It's good.
And you'll see, like, these instances right here are where you see that big improvement. You see that huge, you know, I know what it's like to drive around drivers now. I know where I can throw it in. I know what to, you know, make sure that I do, you know, just keep my mental stability going, just keep my line, don't worry about the drivers around me. You start to learn that the more you drive around everybody. And you can see he's still a little hesitant on some of the turns with these people around him, these drivers really pushing, but he's doing a lot better than he used to. Like he can hold his own right now. And that's, props off to Nick.
Gap's coming down as well. He's still not over, and this is it. And Nick's been under
Oh.
fire the whole race. We see him go wide there right at the end of the day. Loses one position there to Collins. And Steve's right there looking for this.
Ooh, Schartzer?
Schartzer!
Is Schartzer out of gas?
Did Schartzer get a slowdown? I think
he might have. Wow, this is just bringing them all together. Look at this.
Yeah,
Nicholas Marshall fighting. Corey Schartzer fighting.
Bunty's got to be smart now. He's right at the back of this. I feel like he's
Ooh, and Walker back in the pit lane for some reason.
back in the pit lane. Yeah. I saw him lose a bit of time there, and he's back in the pit. So I'm not sure. Maybe he actually crashed there. But these guys are so close, right at the end of the race. Absolutely going tooth and nail. This is brilliant. We've got so far a prevailing Rory Collins trying to defend hard from Corey Schartzer, who's just trying to nick that couple of extra points there for P6. For P7, sorry. Nicholas Marshall just behind that, just trying to keep into the points. So whichever position he finishes in, he's going to finish in the points because Brandon's miles back. So he's going to be a P9 or P10 either way to continue Nicholas's point streak. But
Right.
This is looking super tight for the end, isn't it?
Yep, right now they're 2 cars here, 2 cars there, and another 2 cars behind them. Brandon Walker fighting off Matthew Stelplug. I think it's a little out of reach for points unless one of these pairs of drivers goes off or crashes or something happens, fighting a little too hard with each other. And coming up on the last laps, that's when it will happen. There's no other time to do it. You're going to throw that car inside. You're going to, try and push harder than you ever have. You're going to try and take that turn.
Here we go. He's trying to get the cut back. He's looking for the inside, but he closed the door.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, Rory, he smelt a move, didn't he? He smelt a move and made an evasive. He could have shut that door and gone. He wasn't actually in that gap yet, was it? But I think you see him in the mirror, you hear him, and you make that cut back. But better to be safe than sorry. As we see Corey make that last minute manoeuvre. We've only got a couple laps to go now. Difficult to keep track on the whole race, isn't it? We've got Caitlin with a 15-second lead now. We apologise to our viewers. We haven't spent much time looking at Caitlin, but she has just from lights to lights around this one, right from the go, P1 all the way. So absolutely flawless race from her.
Yep, and these guys are all evenly spaced out with about 0.8 of a second. And let's hop to our leader really quick and look at Caitlin here, as she's almost to the point to where she's lapping them. they just came around the first turn, and Caitlin is coming around the first turn now.
I think she'll just avoid having to go through the blue flags and the lap guys. She'll just get to the end of the race before should be fine.
Yep, and Circuit of the Americas is, Coda is...
Brandon Walker and Stelplug fighting hard. We got some fighting going on right at the back now. Right at the very back now for the last few positions of this. Look, this is tight already between 2 CUDA drivers, one in the Works team, one in the Evo team. Little bit of status going on here. Oh, you got to be smart going into these corners. It would be absolutely diabolical for either of these drivers to crash now on the last 2 laps of the race. That is the worst feeling you could ever have. All that effort and whatever it is you did have is just going to get washed down the drain.
Here we go. These 4 drivers. These 4 drivers fighting for, handful of points.
Great stuff. I can't believe it's been this close all the way to the end as we see Stelplug get past Brandon Walker there. Oh, damn. Brandon's race going from bad to worse there. I feel like he's been a little bit bullied today. But that's sometimes this is the races.
Little lockup from Marshall.
Yep, Steve's gonna get the run there. I mean, if you're Steve right now, you've got all these positions and points in front of you. You're staring at a load of these guys are fighting really hard now. Brandon Walker just lost that position again and goes back. These guys are trading position every other corner. Brandon Walker. If we could just have a look at that one, the fight between him and Steltflug, as I think Steltflug's just lost a huge amount of time there. They traded places about 4 times there in about 3 corners. That was crazy. That was absolutely insane. We might even need to catch a replay of that. I think one of them went off track or something because that was insane. As we see Caitlin set purple lap on the last lap there.
Yep, and she has tires worn in. The
rhythm.
Yep, the pace is just crazy today from her, and she has the least amount of fuel that she will ever have on the track in this last lap. So she is going to be trying, as we see Nick Marshall. Yep. Nick Marshall right now is getting right up behind Rory Collins in this sector where he has the advantage. If he can get into that slipstream coming out of all this, I think he's got a huge huge advantage going down the straights then.
He's had a good head-on today, I feel, Nick Marshall. He's
Yep.
stayed nice and consistent a couple moments, but yeah, he's been nice and fast, and this is the last lap of the race, and he's still going mad. They're all still pushing crazy. It's good stuff.
Yep, and Steve Bunting right behind him as well. Technically, these guys
Yeah,
have
it's
one
so
more
hard.
lap because
It's cheeky as well, isn't it? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, these guys will get to finish the next lap as well, because Caitlin
Yep.
hasn't lapped them, as we see her there behind them. So she will
Yep.
go over the pit lane and neutralise the race, and they will get to continue racing for that one lap, won't they?
Yep, yeah, they'll be across the line before she is, so this is technically their second to last lap. Or their white lap
Yep.
is coming up in just a moment, and they got a whole nother lap, and Bunting is trying to push it, and
Pressure Nicholas. Yeah. This is tough. Is he going to make a move on the inside now? He's definitely going to sniff one. Is Nicholas going to preempt it? Nope. No fidgeting that man. Nicholas doesn't take a defensive move there and sticks on his line.
we got Rory Collins on Schartz are doing the same.
Just up ahead, yeah. The second fight just up ahead of these guys. They must be right next to each other. 3/10. Oh, as we see Nicholas go wide there. We've seen him go wide there a few times actually now in this track, so he must be coming close to a drive-through. This is super tight. Is this tight enough to make a move into turn one there for Collins?
We'll see Caitlin right behind him going and collecting her win here at Coda.
Yep, this is the home Grand Prix win for obviously Katie. This is the American Grand Prix. Fantastic, absolutely, completely flawless winners. It's hard because we've still got fighting going on down the thing, but we'll celebrate a little bit more about the winners in a second. Matt Turner takes second. As we see these guys still fighting, Corey doing everything he can to keep this P7 alive. And I think Eric has just managed to successfully hold up Steve Bunting for those last couple points there.
Yep, Brevik took fourth, or is going to take fourth.
Yep, let's take good. Yeah, Rory Collins has got past Schartzer, as I think Schartz has maybe taken a penalty there. Oh, has he run out of fuel?
I think the worst case happened. He ran out of fuel.
Has he run out of fuel, or did he just take a big heat? Did he take a big heat? I think no. This is petrol. This is fuel.
We got Bunting.
So
Bunting on Marshall.
Corey.
Schartzer is out.
Hesitant moment there. Yeah, and I think this has been created by that slight hesitant moment there from the pink car. What can Bunting do for this? I mean, Nicholas Marshall isn't going to lose a position because he just gained one. Can he hold on to it? Excellent break in there. He managed to go. He's gone a little bit wide. Oh, this is tough now, but he's managed to keep the track going. He's going to go wide again.
He's trying to recover, but I think it's just too much.
He just let that go.
Oh, no. Bunting going wide.
This is so tight as we see Eric Beddoes nailing that 5th place. Good drive by him. I think Steve's going to do the bet unless he makes a mistake. I think Steve's got this one. As we see Anthony Wallace come over the line there to take P6.
Let's see, last turn.
Rory Collins P7, Steve Bunting P8, Nicholas Marshall P9.
What a race, guys.
I think Corey Schartzer, luckily for Corey, he will still finish P10 because Brandon Walker, Stelpflug Carr never got the opportunity to compete in the last lap
because they were lapped.
They'd been lapped.
Yep.
So Corey will keep the point. Incredible stuff. Now,
wow.
Brilliant racing from all those guys. Now, we'd just like to go back to our due celebration to the winner there. Katie High absolutely smashing it there from the start of the race, managing the way through just the one safety car this weekend, dominating the race there. Yeah, I feel like the only real threat today was going to come from Breivik, and really, really unfortunate luck there for Breivik to get that tap. From the back there was a lot of what could have been this week from a lot of our drivers. I feel like Stelford could have had a good race. Turner obviously nailing that pace down and getting his 2nd place. I feel like Stelford could have been 3rd or 4th. Brandon Walker could have been 4th or 5th. Rob Sliter could have been 4th or 5th. There could have been a lot of what ifs today. There'll be many drivers kicking themselves and just walking away from Austin with not a very nice feeling from this track. But as we see our finishing positions there, Caitlin Hyatt gaining and losing no positions there and holding the lead. Fantastic win for her. She is going to be extending her championship lead by a country mile now. As we move to only 8 rounds to go. Matt Turner taking a fantastic P2 there to minimise the damage, as I think that may be enough to take him up to P2 in the title. If he's going to take a fight to Katie at the end of the season, it's going to be him if Shegerman keeps missing races. Alex Gutnick there, fantastic P3. I feel like a quiet race for him. We saw him on screen a couple of times, but by and large, it looked like quite a quiet race for him. Breivik, an absolutely staunch effort there to fight his way back up to P4 there, making that early pit stop on lap 5, and that fuel strategy worked. Unlike Corey, they pitted the same lap, and Corey ran out of fuel 9 or 10 corners before Breivik, so Breivik managed to make that strategy, unlike the other pit 5 lapper, the lap 5 pitter. Eric Beddoes, absolutely stiff P5 there, great points there, the highest scoring B racing car there, taking great advantage of that little midfield fight and finishing in front of all of them, I feel. Anthony Wallace there, a couple of moments at the beginning of the race, good fighting there, managed to get himself up to P6. Rory Collins there, right in the thick of that fight, right until the end there, gaining and losing, managed to gain a couple places and make way from Corey Schartzer there, running out of fuel. Good solid 4 points there. Steve Bunting's going to pick up those 2 points there, 3 points, 4 points there. Nick Marshall's going to pick up 2 points. Corey's going to pick up 1 point. That rounds out our points finishers. Brandon Walker, a super unlucky race today. What could have been very troubled race there for Brandon. We have a lot of incident points, I feel, as well. Matthew Stelpflug, also the same thing, such an early crash and a mega amount of damage. Jackson Carr there, I feel, could have had a much better race also today. He was fighting with that midfield for a long time, wasn't he? So that was an unfortunate finish for him. Buddy Boggs there and David Trumbley rounding out our grid there. And obviously we had our DNF in Rob Sliter quite early on in the race there. And that rounds out round 10 as we try to get some interviews from our top 3. At least we didn't have as many safety cars this time, hey?
Yeah, we only had the one. And once you normally get by that first little bit of the race at the beginning when your tires are cold, everything's kind of hectic, nerves are going, and you get settled in, things start running a lot better. And, we got by the first incident. We had that second one, no safety car on the second one, and everybody just kept going from there. An incident here or there off the track. Obviously, we saw Schartzer who had to go in and do a drive-through, so we had that same kind of feel in this race as we did the F2 race with those off tracks and those small incidents. But great drive from all the drivers here. Some really exciting pace. But let's go down to we have our third place finisher, Alex Gutnick. Let's bring him into the booth with us.
Alex, buddy, P3, another podium.
How are you doing, Lewis?
It's been good to watch that, buddy. It was. It must have. I feel like you had a fairly quiet race, other than the beginning.
Definitely wasn't my most exciting race, but probably my most consistent.
Yeah, just I bet you're probably just quite happy to just knock in some solid points there, and just to get a quiet race down, isn't it? Just to be uninterrupted by everybody and just slam in a podium.
Yeah, definitely.
Good stuff. No, nice solid drive there. Crazy start to the race, wasn't it? And nice to have an F3 race with not 150 safety cars as well. So that must have been nice to just keep the rhythm and just go for lots of laps.
Yeah, I think I was able to save a lot of fuel in the first safety car, but then I kind of inherited third after the restart, but I'll take it.
Yeah, we saw that really unfortunate clumber between Stelpflug and Breivik. But Breivik managed to come back to an incredible 4th place, so I definitely think he will be a force to be seen in the future. But absolutely mega job there for another podium. And obviously your team desperately needs the points with Michael in and out of the races and that. And Shegetman not here this weekend. And that is the guy there, the team that's in front of you. So yeah, you are they in front? I can't remember how it is. Yeah, I think they're the team in front of you. Yep. So you may have just stolen the bunch of points that puts you into P2 in the standings.
Yeah, this was definitely one of the best case scenarios, so I'm glad it worked out.
Yeah, isn't it? Yeah, I feel like that. And Katie just absolutely far too quick for everybody today again.
Yeah.
But, any shout-outs before we move on to the other two?
Just to the team owner, as always.
Excellent stuff, buddy. Okay. Great podium, dude, and we move on to our second place finisher, Matt Turner. Matt Turner, dude, how do you feel about that P2?
Pretty happy with that, if I'm being honest.
Eventless, sort of, again, I just said to Alex as well, I think of all of the races you'll watch the stream back, of all of the what we've seen today, quite for you, just get your head down and take the best you could, which was obviously P2. I don't think anybody had an answer for Katie today. Maybe Breivik if he hadn't have had that early on incident, but you must feel pretty happy with P2.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Katie's in pace is insane. Hard to catch up with, hard to keep up with, but I'm very happy about taking that opportunity to get a podium.
Yep, that's it. She's got that. She had both the pace and the consistency today, and you had a lot of pace, and you had all the consistency, just not that little bit of pace. I feel like she probably had a little bit more as well. We were looking from the tenths and that, and she seems to be coasting for the middle half of the race anyway. But obviously, super unlucky to see your teammate go off there with Breivik at the start and pretty much stay back. Breivik's managed to fight his way back through, but your teammate wasn't so lucky.
Yeah, I didn't see what happened. It'll be interesting to see on the replay.
Yep, I'm sure you'll go back and assess that as a
I know
team.
that Matt was pretty apologetic on the comms.
Yep. But yep, super podium, dude. Just losing that 16 seconds to Caitlin Height, but that's a nice 18 points there, and I think that will move you past Shegertman, because he didn't come today, into P2 in the standings.
I'm not sure it's quite that amount, but it'll certainly bring me closer.
Bring you closer, yeah. But so good luck for the rest of your season, and taking the fight to Katie. If there's anyone that can take the fight to Katie now, you must be thinking, look, if I really nail the practice, you're in a real great position now. I mean, if someone could have said at the beginning of the season, come round 10, you're going to be one of the top 3 with the most amount of points. You know.
Oh yeah. I'd take that any day of the week. Yeah.
Just run it, yeah. So yeah, good luck for the rest of the season. We've got 8 rounds to go now, and we move away from America after just one more race.
Yeah.
So that, I know for you personally that'll be a big deal.
Yeah,
But,
definitely.
Any shout outs before we move on?
Just big thanks to the league. As ever, it's been very fun. It's good to see some new faces. And looking forward to Interlagos.
Brilliant racing, buddy. Yeah, excellent. And good luck at Interlagos next week, buddy.
Cheers. Have a good one, guys.
You too. So you move on to our fabulous race winner with quite frankly demoralising pace. But we bring in our race winner, Caitlin Height, with an absolutely demoralising win there. How do you feel about Shegertman not turning up and you taking that title lead and just kicking it right off into the future there? I think she's muted maybe. Have I muted her? Has she muted her? Maybe she wasn't ready. She's in our chat. We do apologise, ladies and gentlemen. We may or may not get an interview out of Caitlin Height. She was in the broadcast waiting room there. We will just wait a couple of minutes to see if she pops in. Hello. We have a Caitlin Height. I'm not sure if you caught what I said before, but how do you feel about basically demoralising the whole grid? And the most important thing is, for you, Shegertman didn't come for whatever reason, and that's your championship lead way off now.
Well, I'm a little disappointed he didn't show up because I would have loved to have seen his pace, but overall, I really put in a lot of practice for this week because COTA is unironically one of my favorite tracks to drive.
Super exciting, isn't it? Yeah.
And you just blew everybody away. I mean, your pace was just awesome.
Yep. You've heard it here, ladies and gentlemen, live on the stream from the race winner. It's the practice that breeds the race winners. But yeah, I do agree with you. It would have been better to see Stathis and Shegertman turn up and bring that. And unfortunately for Breivik as well, I feel like he had a lot to show today, and was just caught up in that unfortunate crash at the beginning. But this is the races. This is how it went.
Yeah, both Matt and Breivik, I hope I said that right. Both of them were really strong, I felt, but it just, between the pace and the strategy that I developed over this week, I felt like I had a really strong shot to really just close this out.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? It's the momentum. I mean, last week we saw you take the championship lead, and that is it. And as soon as you see towards the end of the session and you see Shegetman not turn up, you think, that's it. If I win this, I'm way out, isn't it? I've compounded. You've got the championship momentum now, and with 8 rounds to go, there's still a long way to go, but yeah, it's looking pretty promising now. We can start talking about championship wins now, can't we? This is it. And
well, to be honest, I really haven't been looking at that too much. I just take it 1 week at a time. So wherever we go next week, I'll put in the laps and just see what happens.
Yeah, we obviously go to Interlagos next week and we close out our American tour. But stunning drive again. I mean, you've picked up multiple wins this season and you are one of our main protagonists. I agree with you. It was sad to not see Shegetman turn up. Hopefully he comes back next weekend to continue the championship fight. But yeah, absolutely demoralising win there. I feel like you had the pace to keep that race well under control. Well under control.
Well, I just tried to hit my marks every single lap and just keep it between the lines and try not to force any penalties or anything like that.
That's it, yeah. And we saw more penalties, actually. I mean, I'm sure you'll watch this when you see the stream back. We did actually see more drive-throughs and more penalties in the F2 race this week than we did in the F3 race, which me and Alex were both surprised about. So, yeah, even though it was crazy fighting all the way to the end. And just another thing as well, we did notice that you changed your car for this week. So does that mean a team change as well, or are you still RSR Esports?
No, this is pretty much just sort of an October deal, just the pink for the breast cancer awareness. So just happy to sort of have all the sponsors and really everyone with the team just sort of with the support.
Yeah, that's it. And no worries. So we'll keep you in RSR Esports and everything. And there you go. You heard it, ladies and gentlemen, from our leader. Anyone that you want to shout out to before we move on? It's a fantastic win. Moves you further in the lead of the title.
Well, I want to thank a lot of my friends who are watching this afternoon. They really, pump me up for each race and just sort of keep me going forward.
Yeah, we saw in the chat they were cheering you on when you go back and watch. They were super excited at the beginning, during qualifying when you took pole, and then we got a lot again when the end of the race hit. A lot of comments saying "Go Katie, go Katie." So you definitely have the fan base for the league here.
It's good stuff. And
as they continue to comment, go Katie in the comments right now.
That's good stuff. And just another one, we have seen a new entry into our F2, our second female driver into the IFL. Does that not make you a little bit more interested in entering the F2 as well, or are you just going to solely focus on bringing this F3 title home?
Well, I know with the big news with Mercedes partnering, I'm really hoping to take a look at the F1 when it drops.
Yeah, everybody's excited about that news, and including the league. The league admins have been talking about it. It's something we can't wait for either. So we look forward to it. Hopefully in the next upcoming season for us.
Yeah, good news. Anyway, we will close this out, but very well done on another win in the IFL, and may you take many more, and good luck for the remaining 8 rounds.
Thank you.
And we'll catch you later. Bye-bye. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. That takes us to round 10, GP32. We have had 32 Grand Prix now in our IFL2, and it seemed not just a few months ago. We were running through GP 8, 9, 10, and I was sitting there looking at single figures and thinking, 9th race, that's not bad. 32 races is just going, isn't it? It's just knocking back. We'll be at the 100 before long.
Yep, I can't even, fathom that we've been through 32 races already. Just what, 6 months ago, it was just an idea. 6 months ago, it was an idea to get this league together and to get these drivers together, and it's turned into something huge now.
So far,
we
these
have
guys on the screen have scored, I'm sure, last time we checked on the points, everybody's points added up on the F3 grid is 927 points.
Yep.
So that is just how hard they've been working away. It's been great. It's been fantastic to be a part of, hasn't it, Alex?
Yep. Yeah. It's seeing it grow every day, seeing new drivers, seeing new teams. It's just awesome to see. And we thank all the drivers again. We do it every week. Thank you guys for coming out and putting on a show. We're on the edge of our seats as announcers, and you're putting on a show that really is rivaling the excitement that we get watching the F1 on TV every other weekend. So it's a big thanks to the drivers, all the admin guys, all the people that make it happen. And to our sponsors, of course, Designs Ltd. We have Butt Kicker that gives us prizes at the end of the year. Automoto News GR is a big one, and Majors Garage as well. That will be supplying us with setups for next season. It's just all these guys are great, and we love having them all. And that's what makes it go forward. That's what makes it happen. And the biggest thing is our drivers. So thank you guys. Anything else you want to shout out to, Lewis?
Yeah, with that, I mean, I always say thanks to the admin and the organisation. That goes without saying. But personally this week, I'd just like to shout out to the couple of the unlucky drivers today, to the Corey Schartzer that ran out of fuel, and the Brandon Walker that got tapped a couple of times, and the Jackson car that ended up at the back of the grid after so much incredible fighting. And it doesn't always work out. The Matt Steltflug out breaking himself, getting caught out by cold brakes and stuff. It happens to the best of us. I've done it myself. You know what I mean? You win a championship one minute and then you're hitting your own teammate up the back the next minute. It's so easy when you're on the limit like this, and it's week in, week out, different tracks and different drivers, and it's a lot. It really is a lot, and mistakes do happen, and not every weekend goes your way. The only thing you can do is pick yourself up and shake the dirt and move on to the next round, and just let it go as quick as you can and focus on the next weekend and just have it not happen again. We see Rob Slater there take his highest finish in the IFL P2 to a DNF today. It is just racing, and that is why we love it. It is sky high to rock bottom in a matter of 6 days, and that is it.
Yep, it's an emotional roller coaster for sure, and like Lewis said, I'll agree with that. Thank you guys that stick in there, that have unfortunate weeks, and we see it now in Matt Turner. He's a perfect example. He was finishing last season mid-pack to mid to low pack. He had some good finishes, like top fives here and there, but now he's fighting for top three. He's fighting for top three and really pushing it.
Championship, yeah.
So you really put that time in. You have a good time. It'll come, and it'll
like
be
Matt's
good.
Got a good opportunity here. Of all of the drivers up and down the grid, I feel like if I wanted to be anyone up and down the grid right now, I'd want to be Matt Turner, because you've got a whole bunch of points behind you. You're not close to the lead. You've got 20 some odd points to actually catch the lead. You can catch the lead, but you're going to have to fight for it. He's going to have to come out and win. He's going to have to come out and nick a few of these races off of underneath of Katie, and I think and she's the type of driver that's only going to finish second or third if she does lose. So the amount of points you're going to lose is going to be 6, 8. You're going to gain such little points as you beat Katie, or a driver like Katie, unless she makes a big mistake and ends up at the back of the grid one race, which can happen. Luck does play a massive factor at this, but yeah, if I was looking to push now, it will be exciting to see Shegerman come back and continue. If that was just a week that he couldn't do, I do feel massively there. And Michael Morberto and things like that, some of these drivers that we know have got the pace to win races, return. But and that's it. That takes us off. We are off to Interlagos next week for round 11. As we wind down the second half of this season, it feels absolutely insane just saying that. Winding down the second half of this season, it feels absolutely crazy.
Yep. Yeah, we have 18 total races, 11 coming up next week, and then we have a short stint back over to where we're visiting first Asia continent, and then back to the European continent to finish it out. And we will be seeing you guys then. But first, we have to make one last stop in the Americas at Brazil, and we will see you guys there next week. And
Brilliant.
Lewis, anything else you want to finish up with?
That's pretty much it. Thank you for the admin. They put in a lot of work, and a lot of it's unseen as well. To the drivers that are listening to this right now, a lot of work goes into a lot of time and a lot of energy and a lot of discussion goes on up top to keep this smooth every single week. It's a constant process, and we'd rather it be hidden and silent and just a well-oiled working machine that just keeps repetitively churning out races every week. So and again, thank you for the drivers, thank you for the organisers, thank you for the commentators that do the BEF2 races and the graphics team and all that. It's such a contributing thing that no one man could do, and we've got a great team that bring it all together each week and put that stage there for the drivers to do, to show us what they can do and put on that show. And we had another great show today. So from us at the commentary booth, that's it for round 10. Good night.